Man, you come right out of a comic book.
Pulp to Pixel Media.
Exploring the media multiverse of geek culture.
He meddled in things potentially.
Hello, I'm Gotham Shran, creator of the science fantasy comic The Last Earth. I'd like to welcome you to my speed drawing and art process videos. Each week, I'll take you behind the scenes in the creation of my weekly comic strip. If you like this video and wish to be informed when new videos drop, then make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date. All right. Well, here we are on the new cover for the July episodes of The Last Earth. So right now, if you've seen my previous videos, you'll see that I had a speed drawing where I was inking over Jack Kirby's work. And I did that mostly as a practice. However, I really enjoyed that, and I also felt I really learned a lot from it. So I took a little time to kind of scour the internet to find more pencil drawings from not only Kirby, but also a lot of my favorite comic book artists as a way to practice. Now, this one in particular is one of the ones I found. It's from an old Tales of Suspense cover that Kirby had drawn. And since Steelheart, my character Steelheart, visually has some cues he takes from Iron Man, I wanted to use this as a practice. Now, I was not originally intending to use it as part of the cover image, but it just turned out so well that I wanted to. I was a little reluctant to do it at first, only because I want to try to do a little more original art. My first cover was an homage to the Akira, bike slide, which was fun to do. But my second cover was an original piece, and this cover, while mostly original, is, well, not really. The central part is really me kind of cribbing from another artist, specifically Jack Kirby. Now, if you got a crib from an artist, Jack Kirby's a pretty good one to do if you're especially doing superhero action. In particular, take a look at the design. Look at that stretch and that bombast. It's something I am really trying to shoot for, that foreshortening, that whole idea that, like, an object is in motion, and everything in a Kirby is just full of this, like, sort of kinetic energy of action and motion, and something I wanted to get. This is supposed to be largely an action adventure story, this series. Now, this cover was actually a little tricky at first. I knew I wanted to go with this kind of pink and green background. These are colors I actually enjoy, and also colors I know that Kirby himself, specifically the pink, was something that he used a lot. And whenever he was able to color his own work. Now here, so right now you're seeing that I was trying for this sort of, like, I don't know, like speed line, like almost like a hyperspace effect, and it just did not work. So I'm happy to show this and kind of see where things work and don't work. But this did not work well for me. So you'll see in just a minute, I'm going to scrap it and go to what will eventually become the final version, which is the sort of black pattern of tentacles ringing the main character, kind of alluding to what's about to happen in the coming story. All right, so here, this is a pretty standard, just sort of kind of establishing some more of the powers and abilities of Alpha Red, his sort of AI companion that, sort of, well, we haven't really revealed yet if it's just in the armor or if it's actually integral to him, as there is some of him is cybernetic. So there is the idea that some of Steelheart isn't just wearing armor, he's actually is part machine. And so, again, like Deathlock, which was a real inspiration for how I write some of Alpha Red's dialogue, as one of the things I loved about the Deathlock was that he had that sort of ongoing conversation with the computer in his head. Now, as you're probably noticing here, I was trying to come up with this scanning effect. And, this ring effect is definitely Aquaman sort of hypnosis effect from Super Friends when he was controlling animals, but it just was not looking right. So I stuck with the pings, which are, for those in the know, are definitely a homage to Kirby's Mother Box. Whenever it speaks, it always makes this ping, ping, ping sound. So sort of electrical. So here we have our first kind of additional. So last week, I mentioned how the lock is basically the Simon game. But here we have the first of the sort of indications of like the culture of the temple he's studying and trying to get into, basically past these doors. Now this head here, this sort of holographic head that speaks to him in this panel and the next. So again, going to my deep cut of toys and licensed toys, specifically Marvel licensed toys in this case. This is one of the Shogun Warriors. This is the head from one of the Shogun Warriors as the sort of the head of the mechanical people that Steelhearts was looking for. So we're kind of getting, as part of this isn't just a random encounter or find for Steelheart. This is something he was specifically hunting for and looking for. Something we'll develop into the reasons why in the next few weeks as I start developing into that part. This was a lot of fun to do, actually. I really wanted to include other characters from other, like I said, from other properties, and so this was my first chance. Now you'll notice in that last scene I had some binary code. I did use a binary converter, so the binary does actually match the translations that are there. So for any of you who are into that, you can totally see that. If you want to try that out, I wouldn't recommend. Now, this is where I actually have a big Easter egg here, and that is the sound that you'll see, the musical notes. And that is a callback to an 80s movie. So for anyone who knows, I have a few people who told me when they saw this the first time, but to kind of give it away though, it is the musical sting from the 5 tones from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those I felt were iconic sounds, and since I had the Simon game, I really wanted to like have this sonic lock, and I wanted to play tones, and I was trying to think of what I was going to use as the music because I kind of wanted to have a call and response code, but here I eventually settled on the 5-note Close Encounters theme. If you check my reels on my Instagram, you'll see I did include those tones in one of those reels. So I highly recommend you go check that on my Instagram if you want to hear them for yourself. I may drop them into this one, although probably not. We'll see how the rest of my editing of this video goes. So future me may be making changes that present me is currently predicting. Well, may or may not. We'll see. All right. So this is, again, like this is very much like also like D&D. There's a quest, and there's traps, and there's doors with special locks that you have to get by, and these sort of heads of floating spirits giving you instructions, but all couched in that visual look of sort of Masters of the Universe and the different sort of toy lines and toy influences from the 80s. The general oeuvre. All right. And now finally, we're starting to live up to the name Creeping Terror. Oh, I love this bit. So that was a swipe. I just recopied him from a previous panel. This is one of the things I really love about working with digital. I was just able to cut and paste those original links and just redrew part of it to kind of get this new thing. Now, I give away a little of the secret there, but we now see in the background, though, that there is this sort of shadowy creature, which, if you caught it in the previous ones, You'll see his tentacle in a previous, its tentacle, I should say, in a previous panel where right before the falling rocks destroyed the bridge that Steelheart jumps over. All right, so next week I'll have more, and we'll start to get into some of the real sort of fighty fight action, so that'll be cool. So definitely check those out when you can. But other than that, this is sort of my, again, like I said, my take on the sort of D&D. This whole opening sequence is also inspired by my Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark opening. Very James Bondy, you know, the whole idea. All right. Well, I think that's about it on my comments. If you can, leave some comments of your own if you have any questions or are interested, or contact me, and I will talk to you later. Thanks again for joining me on my art process journey as I create my comic strip, The Last Earth. You can follow me on the web at www.pulp2pixel.com and on Instagram and Twitter at pulp2pixel. See the show description for links to my LinkTree, my merch store, and donation site. See you next time when we return to the distant future of The Last Earth.